got to admit, as a Met fan, I'm slightly disappointed. All right, everybody, welcome aboard here, Sports Talk Nation, and the trade deadline has come and gone. The New York Mets finally make a move. It was like pulling teeth, and of course, for Met fans, like pulling hair out of their head, as Met fans sat there and waited, and waited, and waited some more. And even as the hours were ticking away and it was getting closer and closer to the deadline, you could hear fans starting to scream their heads off. Mets finally made a move as they go out there and they trade a prospect outfielder, Pete Crow Armstrong, to the Chicago Cubs for all-star shortstop Javier Baez and a starting pitcher, a fifth starting pitcher in Trevor Williams. And getting Baez, of course, he's an all-star player. He's one of the premier shortstops in the league. He is a player who is going to be was one of the shortstops that was going to be and will be highly sought after in free agency this winter. There's a lot of things that make me wonder why. Man, there's a lot of questions I have about what the Mets did in this trade deadline. When Steve Cohen purchased this team, and he and Sandy Alderson had that press conference last fall, and they talked about building a world championship contending team and being aggressive. The thought was and hope was, yes, we understood that it was going to take time. Cohen's saying in the midst of 3 to 5 years. We understood that it was going to take time. And it's going to take time to build a championship team here with the Mets. They still got a long way to go. This is not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. But you would like to see the team, considering that they have new ownership, considering that they've talked about being aggressive, to be aggressive. And it didn't feel, at least from the Met fan standpoint, that they were that aggressive. Now, certainly they try to make things happen. There was a lot of rumors out there that they were trying to make calls on different players, from Chris Bryant to Jose Barrios. There was rumors they were looking in on him. Nothing came of it. Of course, Barrios ends up being traded from the Minnesota Twins to the Toronto Blue Jays. Mets needed relief pitching. They didn't get that either, as Craig Kimbrell ends up going to the Chicago White Sox. So the Mets were losing pretty much everywhere as far as the trade deadline is concerned. Couldn't fill the needs they really needed to fill, which were starting pitching and relief pitching. And they get Baez, who is a shortstop, a very good player, very good shortstop, 22 home runs, 65 RBIs, but is a free agent. You already have a shortstop in place in Francisco Lindor, who you have a 12-year, $340 million commitment with. I know Lindor is on the injury list, and he probably won't be back until late August. What do you do? What do you do if you're the Mets when Lindor comes back and is healthy? Where are you going to play Baez? You're going to play him at second base? You're going to play him at third base? Is he all in on playing that position? And now you create a situation where Jeff McNeil, J.D. Davis, there's now going to be platoons now at third and second base. There are going to be platoons now in the outfield. You've created, if you're the Mets, a mess, for that matter. And I don't know if, I understand that Lindor apparently is friends with Baez. He was very happy that he is going to come here. Is Javier Baez going to be happy playing here for the Mets, where he's going to be playing out of position, eventually playing out of position? He's not going to. He's going to end up walking. He's not going to end up signing long term. There's a lot of things that bother me about this trade from the Mets standpoint. There really is. I was hoping the Mets would address starting pitching. I was hoping they would if they had made a deal, maybe going after a German Marquez of the Colorado Rockies, going after a Jose Barrios formerly of the Twins, a player who had a contract and had some control if they were able to acquire him. But the Mets don't want to part with a lot of their prospects. Certainly, apparently don't want to part with their top shortstop, which doesn't make any sense to me, and Ronnie Maruccio, when you consider that the Mets have a contract already with Lindor. You can probably part ways with him. They certainly don't want to part ways with Matt Allen, obviously, or Brett Beatty, or Francisco Alvarez. Those are some of their top prospects. I totally understand that. But it's going to create a very interesting logjam, in the middle of the infield, at second base, at third base, and be I'm fascinated to see what kind of playing time Jeff McNeil's now going to get now, or J.D. Davis, or even Jonathan VR, or even Dominic Smith, who's going to end up losing playing time because you're going to have McNeil or Davis going into the outfield. With Javier Baez now at second, most likely going to be at second base once Lindor comes back from the injury list. So that's the Mets' move. He's a good player, great player. I just don't think he fits the Mets right now. I just don't think he helps. I mean, yes, he could help. He's an explosive player offensively. He's got a lot of power. But he also strikes out a ton, 131 strikeouts. Man, I'm concerned about this move. I love to know what a lot of Met fans think in the comment section. This one, from the Mets standpoint, it ruffles my feathers the wrong way. It really does. And now the Mets are basically saying that they believe that they have enough starting pitching. That's what it comes down to be competitive and win this division this year. And that's a team with Carlos Carrasco now coming back off the injury list tonight. Jacob deGrom coming back off the injury list probably within the next week or so, and then maybe Noah Syndergaard within the next month, maybe in September. But I don't even know if he's going to be a starting pitching quality at that point. Man, there's a lot of concerns, a lot of questions with what the Mets are doing right now. There really is. So Javier Baez, now a member of the Mets for short term. Probably not a long-term solution unless he really loves playing second base or third base here at the Mets within the next couple of months. We'll have to wait and see. But if the Mets do have plans of making him a long-term solution at those positions and competing for his rights in the offseason, then sure. I mean, I certainly would be happy to see the Mets do that. I just don't think that they'll go down that road. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But man. Again, leave your thoughts below, folks. What do you think? How do you feel about what the Mets did here at the trade deadline? Disappointed they didn't go after better starting pitching. They really need that. And Williams, who is coming over here from Chicago, is 4-2 with a 5.06 ERA. That's not going to inspire a lot of confidence. So the two pitching moves the Mets made here at the deadline: Rich Hill, who's 41 years old, and Trevor Williams with his 5.06 ERA. They really could have done better than that. I really feel they could have done better than that. But we'll see. One thing it does signal to me is moving forward past this season, there's going to be a lot of changes. Probably a lot of changes coming, not just with players who are going to be pending free agents like Marcus Stroman, but also in the rotation, but also on that infield around Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. With the exception of those two guys, there's going to be a lot of major changes coming to the Mets down the road in the future, for that matter. But in the interim, we'll see how it goes with Baez. Again, leave your thoughts below, folks, in the comments section. Follow us on the social media at OpenMicNJ on Twitter, Facebook.com/OpenMicProgram. Remember, like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation.